Which best picture is the best picture? A question I'm most likely going to ask you at least 90 more times. So instead of fighting it, jump in, watch along with me as I go start to finish and watch and rank every best picture Oscar winner. Today, we jump on our horses, set our sights on Oklahoma territory as we head back to 1932's winner, CIMARRON. CIMARRON, directed by Wesley Ruggles, depicts the story of the restless newspaperman Yancey Cravat, played by Richard Dix, his loyal wife Sabra Cravat, played by Irene Dunn, and their family as they embark on a journey to start a new life in the boomtown of Osage. Upon arrival, they're met with outlaws, conflict, and critical decisions as they try to make it work in this new setting. You put all that together, sprinkle in some western shootouts, some cavalry, and hey, we've got ourselves a movie. Quick pause before we jump into it. Let's take a revisionist history check and look at 1932. Pretty heavy year of content in terms of births and events, to be honest. Starting with births, we had Elizabeth Taylor, Sylvia Plath, Johnny Cash, and the incredible composer John Williams. In terms of events, the Sydney Harbour Bridge opened on March 19. Amelia Earhart made the first female transatlantic flight. Herbert Hoover suggested the 5-day work week. Ew. And Paul von Hindenburg beats out Hitler for the German presidency. So as you can see, things was really starting to kick off here. I think it's also important to note that Franklin D, or FDR, started his run to things in terms of presidency. Alright, now lastly, quick reminder of how I'll be scoring things so that you can all follow along as we go. So as you can see on screen right now, there's 5 categories. There's the score or audio, depending on how you look at it. Visuals or cinematography is the second category. Acting, plot, and then just generally did I like it. Each category out of 20, give me an overall score out of 100. Hopefully give me enough variance that as we go through this, we'll get a really nice spread on the list and be able to determine what we think is number 1. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's get into it. Really interesting transition from All Quiet on the Western Front into CIMARRON. You know, at the start, they started to feel similar in terms of the stories opened up with these epic mega sequences. And I've got to say, the start sequence in CIMARRON, awesome. I was watching it and thinking to myself, how did they film this? We'll call it the run out scene and all the horses and all the extras. And quick Google afterwards and had a look into it. It actually took over a week to film, so I just love the dedication to that. I love how epic that is and how grandiose it actually felt on screen. It really paid off. And so from that standpoint, I was really excited to see how things would turn out because it really set the tone for potentially like a true epic. From there, we get to meet Yance and Sabra on screen and everything starts to develop out. And I really did want to call out, I really loved the performances from Yance and Sabra. I thought they were both standouts and not surprised to see both of them nominated for Best Actor and Best Actress. And furthermore on Yance's character, I love the idea of this jack of all trades like James Bond, John Wick before his time, Western style. You know, he's a newspaper man, but he's also like the sheriff. I was really loving that vibe and I was really interested to see actually how this character would play out considering they gave him a lot of power and a lot of titles and skills early on in the film. From there we meet Kid and then we also shortly after meet Lon Yantis, and for what it's worth in the film, they basically take the place of the villains. For villain check, I will do Lon Yantis and I'm going to give him a 2.5, maybe a 3 out of 10. He started really strong. I was thinking to myself, oh, okay, we've got ourselves a genuine villain here. Look at the way he's acting. Look at what's happening on screen. But events that happen in the film sort of play out and you go, okay, like, great start, but everything else was meh. The only other character I wanted to call out was Ricky. As a side character, it was pretty nice to have him, especially during all the time jumps. CIMARRON, the film actually takes place over 40 years. And it was nice to have that recurring character jump up outside of the main characters. In terms of the arc though, and story over the 40 years, that's where I had my reservations. You know, I love the idea of a plot armor, heavy Western hero, and what that opens up in terms of action and film and scripting and everything like that. However, the time jumps and the weird pacing actually caused a bit of lack of direction, and it had its confusions, and you would say that there was probably 3 different storylines going on or 3 different movies inside the movie. And as I said for Broadway Melody earlier on, again, this felt like a little bit of less would be more. It felt like the film kind of at that point had a decision to make about, do we do the Yance heavy Western? Do we do the Sabra and Yance marriage over 40 years? Do we do the Yance political message movie? But I wish that they chose 1 or maybe 2 of the 3, 4 or 5 that they had a choice from and just stuck to that. The fact that we had probably 4 or 5 things really going on really did make it messy as we got further into the film. Apart from that, one other thing I will say is there's a certain main character's ending which I won't say too much on. You'll know exactly what I mean when it comes up if you watch it. I kind of wish we got a little more context on how that all happened. It just feels like they click their fingers and boom, it's done. Yeah, that would be something that I would, in hindsight, if I was them, I wish that they would have added more colour or context to. So tying all these things together and wrapping it up, I'm giving this one a 39 out of 100, as you can see on the screen there. You know, it started so strong and I thought we were really strapping in for an epic, but in comparison to All Quiet on the Western Front, for example, in terms of structure, in terms of full development, it definitely wasn't anywhere near that for me. However, it had elements that could have driven it to the same score or to something higher. If you've gotten this far, thank you very much. I really appreciate every single view and every single one of you who are coming along for this journey. Please leave your thoughts. I love to hear what you have to say. Any facts, any trivia about the movies, or any opinions that you have as well, leave them down below. And subscribe if you haven't, as we're going on this journey. We're going to absolutely smash all of these out. It's going to be really interesting to see the final result. Alright, thank you crew. And as always, I'm not a critic, just someone who loves film.